So this is a summary of what we're going to cover today. So, data types. I'm going to start with this. I want to make something explicit that's only been implied so far. In the last session, when we used if statements, it was important to let the software, that's OpenOffice Spreadsheet, know when we were using numbers or words in our formulas. To indicate that we wanted the formula to handle a word or a series of letters or a combination of letters and numbers, we enclosed the set of characters in speech marks. So the name that we give to that combination of letters, words, letters and numbers is known as a string. So when we want to let a spreadsheet know that we're using a string, we enclose the string in speech marks. So here are some examples of strings. One type of data. When we enter data into a cell in a spreadsheet, we should aim to enter just one type of data, whether that's a number, a date, or a word. So this would be bad practice, and this would be good practice. Entering lists. When we enter a list into a spreadsheet, we should avoid entering blank rows between items. The reason we do that is going to become more apparent when we move on to sorting. So, just to make it clear, this would be bad practice and this would be good practice. Entering different types of data into a cell. Notice what happens when we enter a number into a cell. It automatically gets positioned to the right. Now notice what happens when we enter a word into a cell. It automatically gets positioned to the left. When we enter the long version of a date, e.g. Saturday the 27th of August 2022, OpenOffice Spreadsheet has no idea that it's a date. It thinks it's a string because it's a combination letters, numbers. To emphasize this point in a couple of ways, we can add a formula in the cell below, which is the aim of which is to add one day. So as you can see, when we do that, we get an error because the spreadsheet is trying to add the number 1 to a word, which doesn't make sense. We can tell how OpenOffice Spreadsheet has formatted the cell by selecting it and then choosing Format, Cells, and then clicking on the Numbers tab. If we click in the cell where we've entered the data, we can see how the values below the Numbers tab changes. So even if we try to format the date as a date, it still can't be used in this formula. So what we have to do, we have to enter the date instead in a way that is understood by the spreadsheet. So if we type the date out like this, 27/08/2022, we've entered it in the correct format. And once we've done that, we know that OpenOffice will recognize this as a date, and we can use it in a calculation. So if I put that same calculation in now below that cell, so equals that cell plus 1, we can see that it's added one day to that date, and it's moved from a Saturday to a Sunday. We can also alter the way that that particular date is formatted. So if we choose the date, we can actually format it in some different way. So the value that we entered into the cell 27/08/2022 doesn't change. Look, it hasn't changed, but the way it is displayed does. Handling currency. When we enter currency into a spreadsheet, there's a temptation to use a pound sign. Can you think why this might be a mistake? Yeah, that's right. Quite often a spreadsheet will think that this is a string, and so it can't use it to make calculations. Now, as spreadsheets have become more sophisticated, that's no longer a problem, and the spreadsheet kind of guesses that we're not entering a string. It knows that this is going to be currency. So I found that with this particular software, and I tried it on a couple of other pieces of software, we actually can enter a pound sign or a dollar sign first. So as you can see here, and I'll just do a calculation here. So I'll add £1 to this number, and you can see below that it's a number, and it's added that pound to the currency. Selecting cells, cell ranges, a row, a column, the whole sheet. Now, for productivity reasons, it's a good idea to be able to select specific regions in a spreadsheet. So let's go through how you would select a row by clicking here on one of the numbers all the way down the left hand side. It selects the whole row. Or to select a column, I can click on one of the letters up at the top. That selects the whole of the column. We can also select the whole sheet if we move to the top left hand corner. So move to where cell A1 is, and then we move just in the space out beyond the A1 and click there, and it selects the whole sheet. And so those are really useful in terms of productivity. Non-adjacent cells. Now, you actually solved this problem when you plotted a graph some time ago. But in order to select non-adjacent cells, you click in the first cell, and then you hold down the Command key and click in another cell. If you wanted to select non-adjacent columns, you do the same thing. So we might select this column, hold down Command now, and then select a non-adjacent column. Okay, I'm going to ask you to move on to some exercises now.